Today in our Year of the Bible, we step into the story of Ruth. I'm Andrew Whaley. On the surface, the story of Ruth is a pretty simple tale. It's the story of how an Israelite family incorporates an outsider Moabite daughter-in-law, Ruth, who is a model of faithfulness, cleverness, and loyalty. Ruth becomes, however, an incredibly important character in our story. She is listed as an ancestor of David, who of course is an ancestor of Jesus. So Ruth is in Jesus' lineage. Now her story is set between the book of Judges and 1 Samuel in our Christian Bible. It's much later in the Hebrew Bible. It does serve as a bridge between those two books of Judges and 1 Samuel, but history tells us that the book is written much later during the Persian period after the exile. Some scholars believed for years that Ruth was written as a counter to the harsh language in Ezra and Nehemiah about incorporating outsiders into the covenant community, and Ruth becomes a corrective for that. More recent scholarship, though, has told us that that's a nice hope, but we can't really prove that that's the case with the story of Ruth. We really do our best to read it for the narrative that it is. And below the surface, it's really quite a complex story. We hear about this vulnerable outsider woman and this man of substance in the community. It is a story of honor and shame. It is a story about economic well-being. One thing you'll notice as you read Ruth is that God doesn't take any direct action. Unlike in Genesis and Exodus, where God is parting seas or tearing down towers, here God is hidden. But scholar Phyllis Tribble reminds us that God is not absent. God is at work. God is at work in the actions of these women. Naomi, who serves as a bridge between tradition and innovation. And then Ruth and the other women of Bethlehem as they take radical measures to fend and provide for themselves. God is at work in their actions. By this time, by the Persian period, there is this recognition in the community of faith that much of God's work takes place in social interactions. So this might be a place that relates to your own faith and how you follow the Lord. What Ruth teaches us then is that human agency is of extreme importance, and that human beings have both the ability and the responsibility to resist systems that harm and destroy, as Naomi and Ruth do in their interactions with Boaz. They take their action, and then they hope that God will respond and bring about their deeds to fruition. So perhaps as we read this book, we might consider what action God calls us to take so that God might bring it to fruition too.